Guys, everybody's had a problem with their home, right? It could have been the roof, it could be mold, it could be anything. Today, we're going to talk about what you legally have to disclose.
You better get fired up.
I did it, didn't I? I muted my mic. That's all right. We're going to keep going. So today, we're talking about what you legally have to disclose when it comes to selling your property. Right? We've all had some issue, whether it's a roof leak or a cracked tile, or, maybe your plumbing was a problem at one point, you had mold in your closet, whatever it was. And a lot of these issues we fixed, or, maybe we haven't fixed them. But what do we legally need to disclose to a buyer? So I'm going to go over what you legally need to disclose to a buyer. And I'm going to go through some different scenarios that I think a lot of people maybe haven't thought about before. I'm also going to talk about a strategy that I have used to help my buyers in the past. And it gives you a leg up. It gives you a little bit of leverage. And so if you are a buyer or if you are an agent, it's something you can keep in mind as well, right? So first of all, let's talk about the common issues that you would have with a house, right? Again, whether it's a roof leak or you've got, some problems with your pool heater or your air conditioning isn't working the way it's supposed to all the time. Maybe your dishwasher doesn't work. Do you have to tell a buyer those things? According to Florida state law, yes, you have to disclose all those things. You're going to have what are called seller's property disclosures. And your listing agent, when they list your house and put it on the market, should ask you to fill out those documents and then share those documents with any potential buyers, right? So now the buyer has the ability to see all of your responses to these different questions, and they can understand exactly what's going on with your home. They can assess the value from a market standpoint, right? What is it like compared to other homes that have sold? But then they can also take the condition that it's in, the issues that you've had into consideration, and kind of adjust that value. No problems. Okay, maybe it's worth 5-10 grand more. We got some major problems. Maybe it's worth 10, 20, 50 grand less, depending upon the problem that it is. But yes, you have to disclose those things, okay? So I'm talking anything. Legally, any problem that you've ever had, you're supposed to disclose with the buyer. Now, I'll tell you right now, I've got a hairline crack in one tile in one of my bathrooms. Am I going to disclose that? Well, legally, yes, I'm going to disclose that. But what if I forget? Well, if you forget, you're still legally responsible for it. But I'll tell you, little things get dismissed all the time. And it's not necessarily because of bad intent or you're trying to manipulate someone or anything like that. It's just like, I got a nice house. It's in good condition. I guarantee if I get an inspection right now in this house, there's going to be 30, 40 issues with it. New construction, I've seen 5, 10, 15 issues on. So absolutely any home that's been lived in for 2 years is going to have 20, 30 issues minimum on it, right? It's typical. So here's a scenario that if it popped up, you'd be on the hook for it. Let's take me. I'm the seller, and let's say I'm a manipulative seller. I'm trying to get one over on you, okay? So I have a roof leak, and the guy came out and said, hey, you should replace this whole roof. It's a shingled roof. It's 25 years old. There's no way that you should keep this roof on. And I say, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to sell this sucker in 3 months. Just repair it, and we'll go from there. So he repairs it, and we don't say anything about it. I do not disclose it when I go to sell it to that next buyer, right? Here's the problem. Could I get one over on them because I didn't disclose it and now my home doesn't look, yeah, whatever. But I'll tell you, number one, if you fix an issue, most people aren't going to have a problem with it, right? If you fixed an issue, you can show the receipt. You can show that a licensed, insured contractor fixed that problem. It's not going to be a problem 99% of the time. So it's not really a big deal. But here's where the problem comes in. I didn't disclose it as a seller. So now I take all the cash from my sale. I'm feeling good about making that money. I go get my next place. I've got some cash in the bank from the sale. And all of a sudden, that new homeowner who purchased my home has a roof leak. And they're out there and they're looking at it and they're going, I can't believe we just bought this home and it's already got a roof leak. Now, meanwhile, the neighbor over their fence, I'm picturing Wilson from Home Improvement. Remember that guy? He's hearing and he says, Say again? What was that? Oh, I was just commenting on the fact that our roof is leaking and we just bought the home, man. It's such a bummer. And the neighbor says, that's interesting because I remember about 3-4 months ago, Joe Rosen had that problem and he had a roofer out here working on it. Really? Joe didn't mention anything in the seller's disclosures. Oh, well. And so they say, well, do you know who the roofing company is? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was ABC Roofing. They had a sign out in the yard for the 2 days it took to do it. So then they call ABC Roofing, and ABC Roofing says, yeah, we've got an account here for that address, and it looks like we were out 4.5 months ago. We had a leak. We suggested they get a new roof because it's 25 years old. They didn't want to get one. And so we just repaired it. And on the disclosures, I wrote that we had a 15-year-old roof and that we never had a problem with it. But this guy in writing says that he disclosed to me that it was a 25-year roof. He had something, probably a permit to support that. And he told them of the suggestion of me replacing it, but I didn't do it. I repaired it and I didn't disclose it. Now he can take me to court and he's probably going to win if he's got strong enough evidence. So now not only am I probably going to pay for a replacement roof, at a minimum, I'm going to pay for a repair. But I'm also going to have to pay for damages. I'm going to have to pay for court costs, lawyer fees, all these different things potentially. And I'm out thousands, right? I've heard of, but I've never seen, I've never experienced situations where they will actually make the person take the home back and get their money back, right? Now, again, I think that's a pretty rare case, but just know you're on the hook for all this stuff. Now, is it challenging as a buyer to determine and have proof? I mean, I kind of made up this scenario to make it easy to have proof. But do you always have proof? No, you don't. You could purchase the home and 2 days later, the refrigerator goes out. How are you going to prove it? If you can't find the guy who just came 6 weeks ago to look at the fridge and he can tell you, yes, the fridge wasn't working and we did what I told him would be a short-term repair. If you can't find that person and the seller's not admitting it, good luck. You're going to have to prove it to the court. And that's not always easy. But if they can prove it, I don't want you to think you're just out the cost of a fridge. You're not. You're risking more. You're risking court costs, lawyer fees, all those different things, right? Let's talk about another scenario. My mom owns a house, and there are 2 of us kids. And mom dies, and we get the house. I've never even seen the house, all right? And my sister has never seen the house, but my mom has lived there for 7 years. And throughout conversations with my mom, we've been told, hey, I've got a roof leak. I'm going to fix the roof. Hey, the AC isn't working, but I don't have $6,000 to replace it. So I'm just going to kind of duct tape this thing together and hope it works. And let's say it does, right? We know things about that home, even though we haven't physically lived there. So I can't tell you how many people will say, hey, I'm not filling out disclosures, which you don't have to fill out disclosures. Legally, you do not have to fill out disclosures, but you legally are responsible for disclosing anything. So I always tell people who don't want to fill out disclosures, you're literally saying this house is perfect. If anything pops up and they can prove you knew about it, you're going to be in a bind. So here, I knew we had some roof issues and the roof was not replaced. I knew my mom had some AC issues and she duct taped it together. And I'm going to claim, hey, me and my sister, we never lived there before. So we're not going to fill out disclosures. But legally, we're responsible for disclosing the AC issue and the roof issue. Now, it is a challenge. How are you going to prove that my sister and I knew about that? It's going to be tough because there's no recorded conversation between me and my mom or my mom and my sister or me and my sister. So it's going to be challenging. But if you can prove it, my sister and I are going to have a tough time in court when they take us to court, right? So realize just because you've never lived in the home doesn't mean that you don't have to disclose. And I'll tell you this too, if you've never lived in the home and you've never heard anything from that person, in this case, let's say it's my mom, they've never disclosed anything to you negative about the house. There's no reason not to fill out those property disclosures Because I'll tell you as a buyer's agent, and even more so as buyers, when you come into a property and they do not fill out those disclosures, you instantly think, what are they up to? What are they hiding? Why won't they share this? If you don't know anything, just fill it out. It doesn't ask you, does the home have problems? It asks you, do you know of the home having these types of problems? So it's really easy to say, nope, don't know that, don't know that, don't know that, don't know that. We're good. Clean disclosures. It does not mean the house is clean, and the buyer should know that it doesn't mean the house is clean. It means that the current owners of the home don't know anything negative about the home. All right. I'll tell you this too, for those of you who are risky, I don't see this a lot in this market anymore, but when the market was hot and you're thinking, I'm not going to do an inspection because I want to win this offer. The older the home is and the less that the sellers are saying they know about the home, like the scenarios I just gave where mom died, the more you want to get that inspection. Because if you don't get that inspection and there are issues, you didn't really even have an opportunity to have those sellers disclose it, right? Jamie Hannon, I appreciate you, brother. So you really want to make sure you get that inspection, especially if the people never lived in the home or they don't know anything about the home, or it's a landlord who never physically lived in the home. They've had 3 tenants over the last 7 years. How many things do tenants have problems with? And for whatever reason, they don't want to disclose it to the owner. So instead, what they do is they just fix it, and maybe they do kind of a half-assed job with it. And now you don't know about that problem. The seller didn't know about it, so they fulfilled their disclosure requirements, which was they don't know anything about it. And now you're stuck with a problem. So if the seller's in there and they're hiding something from you and you can prove it, yes, after closing, you can take them to court. But if it's a landlord or it's the kids of somebody who had deceased, their parents, and they're taking that home over, they might be disclosing everything they know, which is zero, right? So guys, there's a couple different things that you should be thinking about when it comes to disclosing. I'll tell you, here's my last strategy that I'm going to share with you guys. As a buyer's agent, if I see that we've got a report, like I said, even a clean house is going to have 20, 30, 40 things pop up. So if I've got a house that I'm negotiating on, and let's just say it's a $600,000 home, and we were trying to get it for $580,000, we couldn't. We got it for $600,000. That inspection report comes back, it's got 32 things on it. And we're asking for 2 things that total $1,500, and the sellers won't budge. I can't tell you how many listing agents will say, and to me, this makes 0 sense. They say, send me the inspection. As soon as that listing agent receives the inspection, which I want to send to them, I got to ask my buyers for the okay, but I want to send to them. Now, if they don't work with us and they don't negotiate that repair of $1,500 on those 2 items we want, they have to disclose everything on that inspection report to all future buyers. That's a crappy situation to be in, right? And I see a lot of buyers who, when they're requested to get the inspection from them, they'll say, I'm not letting you see my inspection unless you want to reimburse me half the money for it. And I think, dude, why not? Once you share it with them, man, they've got to disclose all that stuff. So now if you're not working with me on these $1,500 issues on a $600,000 home, I'm going to gently remind that listing agent, man, that really sucks. Yeah, we're going to lose the deal and I'm going to have to put it on the market. Yeah, that sucks too. I guess I'm talking about the fact that this was a beautiful listing on day one. So you got a beautiful offer. And now over $1,500, you're going to have to put it back on the market and disclose all 32 of those issues. I mean, obviously you've got enough experience to know you're going to lose a heck of a lot more than the $1,500 we're negotiating. So that's going to be tough for them. And they're probably going to take, 2, 3, 4 months to mentally get over that hurdle. So I feel for you, bud. It's going to be a tough sale, but I'll send the cancellation over shortly. Now I've planted the seed and that agent's thinking, crap, he's right. Legally, I'm going to have to disclose it. And if they don't, and my buyer reaches out to that next buyer and tells them, whoo, there's a court case, right? So guys, disclosure is a big deal. If you got questions, always reach out to me, ask your agent, ask an attorney, and they will give you a lot of help on that stuff, man. We want to make sure everybody's successful. Guys, other than that, happy Friday. Have a phenomenal weekend. Take care.